Shout out Pop Killer TV. I am the Kid LAROI, and I am excited to come to Poland.
Hey, how are you?
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
Hey, what's up? I'm Marcin from popkiller.pl, and we actually had a chance to speak in 2021, 3 years ago. So it's dope to see you again. It's dope to have a chance to
Likewise.
speak with you again. Um,
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
yes, sir. And when we spoke, it was like right after the album "Fuck Love" became was certified gold. And in
Oh,
that
whoa.
time, you've reached next levels in your career. You were nominated for a Grammy, and just you've grown a lot. So congrats on all that success. And how would you assess
Thanks.
that time in between those 3 years?
Wow, it's crazy that 2021 was 3 years
Yeah.
ago. That's wild. Oh man, I would just say, it's interesting. Just a lot of learning, a lot of growing up. You know what I mean? I was 17 or 18 in 2021, which is crazy. I'm about to be 21 this year. Wild
Yeah.
stuff. I can't believe that. Grown adult. That's strange. Um, yeah, it's a lot of growth, maybe. Growth is the word for those 3 years.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, when you performed in Poland, you invited a fan from the crowd on stage to perform the song "Tragic" with you. And
Yes, sir.
the interesting part is, like, since that time, that
He's
fan,
kind of going crazy, right?
yeah, he's gone viral. Like, he has over a
I
million
know.
listeners. So
I saw that recently. I'm so proud of him. My friend was showing me him recently. My friend TJ, who was my DJ, he was showing me recently, and I was like, "Wow, I'm so proud of him. He's going crazy."
yeah. So, what is your favorite part of performing with fans on stage, and just that energy and that chemistry that comes out of it?
Just getting to do it with them and seeing them sing the words and like seeing like what the songs mean to them and stuff. I think that's the coolest part. You know what I mean? Just their energy, having their energy up there, and like it makes me really happy just to see stuff that I like that I made, with my friends and seeing that being like them just singing it
Yeah.
and taking on their own meanings and stuff to it. That's really cool.
hmm and in person, it seems like you're really laid back, chill, humble. What was the hardest part for you? Like the hardest part in adjusting to that whole lifestyle, the popularity, the fame, and everything that comes with it.
I mean, it's kind of it's overwhelming, but there's a lot of things that's cool about it. There's a lot of things that's like overwhelming, and sometimes, you know, it can be interesting to deal with, but um, so learning experience, I guess. It's
hmm
cool.
And how do you perceive fame itself?
How do I perceive it?
Yeah,
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, fame is just a weird concept in general, right? It's an interesting concept. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily feel one way. At least, I mean, it's like 11 a.m. It's like
yeah.
11 a.m. here. I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. I definitely have thoughts about it, but I think it's just a strange concept. I mean, the fact to think about like um people putting so much power and putting you in such a position, when uh as cliche as it sounds, where it'll just like everyone's just like a human being and no one knows better, no one's better than anybody in reality, and no one knows more than the next person necessarily, or
Yeah.
just because of like a fame thing or whatever. So I don't know, it's just an interesting concept how much power gets put into the hands of um fame or famous people or whatever. That's
hmm
it's interesting.
Okay, and at the end of last year, you released your long-awaited official major label debut album, the first time. And now, almost
Yes,
half a
sir.
year after its premiere, how do you look at that album? And would you change anything about it? Are you satisfied with how it came out?
I think I really needed to make that album because I love that album. It's by far my favorite thing I've ever put out, and I think I just needed to. That album was an album for me to make. You know, I think like I really needed to make that, and just to have that, and something that I'm really confident in. You know, I think that was like something I'm proud of more so. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff in the past the release that I'm not proud of, and I'm proud of like what it did, and I'm proud of like what it did for me and stuff. But I don't know if I'm proud of it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Proud of the actual like product, and I think it was just something I needed to make to be proud of. You know, and something I needed to that I really wanted to just make and do for myself. So that's how I was kind of
Hmm.
feeling. Yeah.
And I thought the cover art was pretty interesting, as it seemed to have some dark undertones, some symbolism with the mask, but it's also kind of open to an interpretation. So, what was the
Yeah.
concept behind it, and how would you break down the meaning of the cover art?
Without going too deeply into it, I mean, you know, the mask thing. You know, this album was about like shedding skin, I guess, and like, um, you know, I guess shedding skin and moving on from the past and like growing up and coming, you know, like the first time concept type thing. And the mask is like a mold of my face, and I don't want to go into too much because I
Hmm.
want people to kind of like I want people to interpret it how they want, and I kind of
Yeah.
like there being like you know a little bit of like mystery to it. But the thing I will just give is like you know that it was the concept roughly was you know just about just shedding skin and and how you know moving on from the past sometimes you know like and how we don't want to get stuck in the past and how being stuck in the past sometimes can keep us in the past, right? I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but you kind
Yeah.
of get what I'm trying to say. Like, if we keep thinking about the past and if we keep, you know, reminiscing about the past and being stuck in the past, then we're, you know, we're not gonna get
Hmm.
past the past. I don't know how to, I'm terrible at articulating things, but so whatever you like, everybody can interpret it how they want to interpret it. So that's just a little, like a little, some clues or something. I don't know,
Hmm.
whatever. But yeah.
Okay. And nowadays, like you mostly sing on your songs, but also like this hip hop element seems to
Yeah.
always come back in some form of fashion, or occasional rapping or the rap collabs that you have, and you've done a lot of them. But probably like one of the biggest ones is the track with Future. What's the move? So, how important was he as an artist for you, and what was the whole experience like?
I mean, he's one of the greatest artists of all time, you know, like just his influence and just, how he's changed music. I mean, you know, he's just on a different level. You know, it's crazy. It's one of those things like when we got back his verse, you know, it's like almost like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm hearing Future like on my song. You know, it's like so surreal. It's like, holy shit. Like I really look at him as a legend, as like a as one of the greatest. So
Hmm.
um yeah, it meant a lot to have him on that for sure.
And one of the most surprising appearances for me on this album was the Robert Glasper feature on "Call Me Instead," which was very
Yeah.
refreshing just to hear you in that in that arrangement. So, were you a fan of Robert Glasper's music before that, and do you see yourself stepping more into that acoustic R&B with a sprinkle of jazz sound going forward?
Yeah, so Robert Glasper, I'm trying to think who first introduced me to his stuff. He's introduced to his stuff a couple years ago. I think maybe my buddy Oma, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was someone else. Someone that introduced me to his music, and um, obviously he's a legend, a mega legend, you know.
Yeah.
And he just is. I mean, he's just his stuff is just beautiful. You know what I mean? I like really. I really like. I really admire what he does. I really admire his work, and um, I think getting him on that song was, you know, I always wanted to like do something with him and do something in that realm. And I thought it was just a really cool thing to be able to try and mix that world with like young boy and then like me and then like try like you know I don't know I was just kind of like it was kind of, the idea was just kind of like I wanted to bring those worlds together, and I just felt like, oh, this is something that maybe hasn't really been explored before, and I thought it was really cool to be able to bring that together. But he's even another person that's kind of like, wow, I can't believe like you wanted to like you were down to do that. Like that was so cool, and he actually came out and played at Coachella with me as well, which was really insane.
Dope.
And yeah, big 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 blessing.
And okay, so I think we have time for one more question. So a few weeks ago, you released a documentary called "Kids Are Growing Up," a story about a kid named LAROI. So what
Yes,
made you
sir.
want to shoot the documentary so early in your career, and what was the most fun aspect of working on it?
I think when you asked about like the documentary being an early thing, I mean, I didn't want this to be like the end of the career doc or whatever, or like the triumphant, like this was my life, like documentary, and like this is like I kind of wanted to be a moment in time, capture a moment in time, and a lot of it was just having good conversations with the director, Michael, who became a good friend of mine during this process, and I think, it was just about, the intention going into it being like we want to inspire people, you know what I mean? And we want to like show people who support me, show a little bit more of who I am because I'm suck at doing that online. And so I think a lot of it was just, that and just yeah, the goal was just to hopefully like inspire people and just yeah. You know what I mean?
Okay, so do you have any last words for the fans in Poland?
I love you guys in Poland so much. Thank you for supporting me. I hope to see you guys at the show. And yeah, thanks for having me today.
Yes, sir. Dope. Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure. It was an honor.
Thank you, brother. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yes, sir.